Well, good morning. It's Monday, and you know what time that is. It's time to take a tour of the garden and see what we've got growing on. Well, welcome back. So I'm over here with my favorite lemon tree. Got started a little bit later this morning, you know, it's summer break, and so it's very sunny everywhere in the yard. This is high time for sun in the yard. So I'm over here in a shady spot, obviously, where we can get some good light. But we're gonna get into this little tour, and I've got a fun announcement for you at the end, so be sure and hang out for that. So since we're over here by the lemon tree, we're gonna start over here with the sweet potato bed, and just be mindful that right now, because it is pretty warm already for the day, that some of the things are looking a little bit like that, like they could use a drink, and that's okay. We're not gonna rush and try to rescue them in the middle of the day. We're just gonna let them get through their day, and they'll be fine come time when the sun goes down and everything shifts around and they get a break. So let's get going with the tour. All right, well, the sweet potato bed over here is really just getting itself established. Everything's looking happy, and we're excited to see everything just going into action soon. Now down here on the tomato, you can see this thing that it's gotten established, and it's also starting to make flowers. Now, even though this is exciting, think about it. Our plant is not nearly big enough, and we really want it to grow some more. And so when you find a plant making flowers this soon, it's best to just kind of snip those flowers off, and that's going to redirect the focus of the plant's energy back into making this tomato plant grow up and bush out. And that's what we want more than this tiny little plant making tomatoes right now. But that's a good evidence of some success that we've got going on here. Now we just need this to fill out with the sweet potatoes, and we'll be happy about that. Over here on the squash plant, I took the one off that was on there before because it really wasn't going anywhere, and this is a new one that's developed in the last week, so I'm not really sure of its pollination state. The strawberry is actually looking greener and happier than it's looked in a long time. I think it's like in that fish emulsion too, and the little girls came out here and pulled 2 strawberries also. Now we're up to 3 whole strawberries for the year on that strawberry plant. This watermelon is not nearly as happy as the watermelon over in bed 1, but I keep trying to remind myself that when we look at the plant from here out, all that is new growth, and what was not happy on there hasn't looked happy in a while, and we can't keep judging the plant based on that. We've got to focus on what's new growth and not the old stuff there. And this Rogue Unknown is really happy. It's making lots of flowers, and it's really getting itself up onto the trellis kind of thing here, if you will. And we're about to see most of the mustard here turn brown and be ready to go to seed. Now I'm going to come way down here with the beans, and if you'll look, you can see that we've actually got a couple of little beans right there. There's one. Now, I've never grown the Anazi beans before, so I don't exactly know if those beans are going to get bigger. I know that ultimately we're going to be letting this dry on the plant instead of, you know, picking it like a pea. And now this watermelon has got a lot more flowers. It's looking a little bit more happy, and that might be just from some of the shade that it gets from the collard. And the collard, actually, you can see now the pods on it are starting to turn brown, and so it looks like we may be getting close to being able to take those off. See, those are some really brown pods there. But what's interesting is that the plant itself still looks so green and happy and thriving, but the pods are, you know, going through their cycle. So there's some up here that are quite, oops, I didn't mean to do that. That's another one of my Bill Dance moments. So I got a little bit of seed right there in my hand. I'm trying to work that out instead of dropping it. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, I accidentally broke one of the pods. But this is exciting, so I'm gonna have plenty of collard green seeds to share, and it's, you know, just been cool watching it go through all the phases and enjoying all the different aspects. And this unknown, can't remember who it is, tomato is also starting to put out some of its first flowers. This little guy down here is just making a slow recovery, even though right there are some blooms that are coming there. But again, I also, on something small like this, a pepper, I'll probably pinch its blooms too, because we always just kind of have to think about the work that a plant's doing. So if you're wanting it to grow, then it doesn't need to be making flowers, and if you're wanting it to make flowers, you don't want it to keep growing exponentially. And that's sometimes what can happen when you use too strong of fertilizers, like high nitrogen throughout the entire process of a plant, will push it to grow bigger but not ever go really into creating blooms. Now this is so exciting. This right here is our spaghetti squash, and we actually were able to get one pollinated, and it's continuing to grow. So I think the pollination was totally successful, and I'm just so excited to see how big this is going to get. So for reference right now, it just kind of comfortably, now I kind of took it off its resting place there. But it kind of just sits real good in my hand there. So it'll be fun to see how big that is next week. Otherwise, the plant itself is looking super happy. This pepper down here, it's also starting to make some little blossom heads there, but it's looking happy. And over here on the butternut, if you can see over here, there's a butternut right here. But the day that this bloomed, I didn't have any flowers out here on this plant, and all the pollen I have has got to be way too old. So I actually used a little bit of pollen from this, and so if it worked, then we could see some weirdness with this vegetable. But it's not getting a lot bigger like this one is, so I don't know if it worked. And this is a happy little okra that we've got coming up, and otherwise that's pretty much what we've got going on in bed 3. All the flowers are looking happy. Plenty of the cosmos are blooming, and the sunflower is, even though it's not as tall as I expected it to be, it's looking like it's wanting to go ahead and open to a flower. This one is beautiful. It looks the same way. And all the flowers over here are looking really happy. And these calendula, you can see, have got little flower heads on them, so they're getting ready to make some pretty flowers for us. Over here in our buckets that are already starting to get a little bit of dapple shade, which is why we keep making these moves, we've got a lovely zucchini down here that got some good pollination, so it's just been growing every day. So right now, for reference, that's like, so it's probably about 6 inches long. We're gonna let it get a little bit longer, and then we're gonna grill it up. And all the tomatoes over here are looking happy. Beautiful. Look how big that one's getting. I mean, that's all right there in the palm of my hand. And we finally are seeing more tomatoes develop. And this particular tomato, it's the Cherokee Purple. It's definitely one of my biggest, and it keeps sucking water faster than everybody, or so it seems. So I mulched here with some of the green leaf lettuce that I was clearing out from over in bed 1. So this is gonna hopefully help the soil stay moist for longer. And this is kind of a chop and drop thing, except I didn't chop this lettuce off of this plant, but I chopped it somewhere else and I dropped it here. And so that's something that you can do in your gardens, is reuse stuff that you're cutting down. So I'm real happy with all the tomatoes, and I'm just real delighted with the success that we've had since we started. I mean, because right now this is like up to my chin. This is how tall this is. And it's making lots of flowers. It's got some beautiful tomatoes on it. And I attribute a lot of this to, you know, monitoring and adjusting with the shade, but especially the fish emulsion. I really think that all the plants are loving the fish emulsion, and I have no clue whether or not this little guy got fertilized, but he definitely looks wonky. And we've got some more, I think these are Ace 55s. This squash still really hasn't done a whole lot. There's another yellow squash down here on this plant, and the tomatoes here are all looking great. Let me lift the veil of my blushing bride here. Just kidding. But yeah, we've got some awesome action going on here with the tomatoes, and I'm just using this tool to keep the birds away. So check out all that amazing goodness there. So we've had these are the Punta Bandas, and these are the red cherries, and so we've had some of those, and oh my gosh, just delicious. So yeah, we finally got to have a couple of these last week, and it's amazing how something even that small can have such amazing explosion of flavor. Flowers over here are, you know, doing better and better. The little cornflowers are our mainstay, and we've got more calendula that's coming along and blooming, and over here some of the self-seeded cosmos are coming along. This cucumber is finally starting to grow and flower all at the same time. This bed is looking really, really pretty. We've got a lot of loveliness going on there despite the little mishap with the lattice there. Now, over here in bed 1 is where we've got amazing, super awesomeness going on. You remember last week we picked that Armenian, but do you also remember from last week we had that amazing bee action going on, and I just can't wait to show you what it's like over there now. So let's go. This mint obviously is just loving life now because it's got so much growth on it. Both of these are happy too. The oregano is getting so tall, and the thyme is definitely looking a lot more lush than it did before. Now, these Armenian cucumbers are just going crazy. There's one there that I knew was going, and over there, there's a couple of more, but I did not know about this one coming off the front there underneath the tomatillos. So, having super amounts of success, and see this crazy Armenian comes all the way across here to the front. And so super happy there, and this cantaloupe is just going crazy. And if we come over here to the back side of it, you can see that there's a little female there, and we've just got lots of little females that have come out here along the back. And over here, I just want to show you, this is one of the calendula heads that formerly looked like this. Alright, so it's all green if you get in there. Now, if you leave it on the plant and let it completely dry out, then that's when all the seeds develop. So, and then you can either pop the seed head off, or you can just do like that. And that right there, that looks like kind of a weird little piece of wood. Those little curly cues are actually the calendula seeds. So, it's one of my most favorite looking little seeds there. Everything back here with the flowers is happy, and again, we've got a lot of little bloom heads coming up on the calendulas over here. I've been trying to knock down some of this lettuce, and that's how I had it to use over there for mulch, if you will. And now we're going to talk about our prize beauty. See how big she's getting, and a whole new set of flowers coming. But over here, dun dun dun, looky there. Now that thing gets bigger and bigger every day, and it's easily the size of a softball. Yesterday, I would have said it was in between a baseball and a softball, but today it's definitely a softball, and it's just gonna get bigger and bigger. So we're so excited that all that pollination worked. Here's a happy little okra. This, my friends, is the kale. Remember all the kale that I cut down? Well, it's not getting cut down, I guess. Here's the happy tomato. This watermelon hasn't gotten that big. I don't know if you can see that very good, but it hasn't really gotten much bigger. So maybe it didn't get pollinated that good, but there's been a lot of bee action over here. Happy okra down there too. So I'm hoping that, because watermelon and cantaloupe, their flowers are just so dang small and you can't hardly get in there, you know, so it's tough for me to hand pollinate them. So I'm hoping that the bees that love to hang out in this tree and love the flowers and love the flowers on that squash will continue to help get everything over here in the bed pollinated. Well, I hope you enjoyed that quick little tour. I've got to get either out here earlier or start doing this in the evenings the day before, because I think the light makes it just kind of hard to see stuff. But before we finish up here, I did want to tell you the exciting news that we've got to share, and that's this whole new thing that we're gonna do starting this week, and it's gonna be on Fridays. And on Fridays we're gonna have a new show called the Show and Tell Garden Show. And what that's all about is we are gonna start connecting and collaborating with some other YouTube channels here in the Valley that are gardening and growing food just like us in their own unique way. And we're gonna go take a tour of their garden, and we're gonna get to know them and learn about what they're doing and how they do it, and see what we can learn from them. And we're gonna take you along so that you can learn too, because who knows, you might find something that you connect with them on that is unique and different from what I do. You know, the big reason why I do this channel is because I'm so passionate about connecting people to the ideas and concepts of growing their own food. And so I thought it would be a wonderful way to see some fledgling gardens, some gardens that have been growing for a while, some gardens that are really awesome. That way we could all get more ideas and learn about different ways that people are growing right here in our very own climate. So the very first channel that we're gonna host and collaborate with for the Show and Tell Garden Show is gonna be the East Mesa Urban Homestead. William is the dad that does the channel over there, and he's got a sweet little family, and they've got some chickens and they've got a garden. So be sure to tune in on Friday to catch our first episode of the Show and Tell Garden Show, because we're so excited to go visit the East Mesa Urban Farm or Homestead. They've been such an awesome supporter of us and engaging with us so much in the comments, and so we're really excited to see what they've got growing on over there. And we want to thank you so much for stopping in whenever you get a chance to see what we're doing over here. And if you would ever like us to come and visit your garden, be sure and comment below or send me a DM over at Instagram, or find my email in the about and shoot me an email. But until then, I hope you have the best day ever, and thanks again for watching.